Why thinking too deep can make you feel alone. Have you ever felt that the more you question things, the more distant you become from the people around you? That the deeper your thoughts go, the quieter the room gets? This feeling isn't imagined, and it isn't new. Across history, individuals who thought differently were rarely welcomed at first. Not because they were foolish, but because they unsettled what others depended on. From ancient philosophers to modern thinkers, those who questioned accepted truths often stood alone, not out of choice, but necessity. Philosophy has always carried a quiet cost, and the cost is often isolation. But why does thinking deeply separate us from others? Why deep thought creates discomfort? Consider how we respond to different forms of excellence. When someone is physically powerful, we admire them. When someone is wealthy, we may envy them. But when someone thinks deeply, something changes. A person who questions assumptions doesn't just offer ideas, they expose uncertainty. Their curiosity highlights what others haven't examined, and that can feel deeply unsettling. This isn't about arrogance or superiority, it's about contrast. Deep thinking forces comparison, not between achievements, but between awareness. And awareness is personal. When someone challenges our beliefs, it can feel like they're challenging us. That's why thoughtful silence can be more uncomfortable than loud confidence. Why the mind reacts defensively, psychologically. This reaction makes sense. Human beings evolved to survive in groups. Agreement meant safety, harmony meant protection. To be out of sync with the group was dangerous. So when someone questions shared beliefs or disrupts familiar narratives, the brain often responds with resistance rather than curiosity. It doesn't ask, "Is this true?" It asks, "Does this threaten my place?" Deep thinkers unknowingly activate this response, not because they intend to, but because reflection destabilizes certainty. Uncertainty is comforting. Why thinking feels easier in private. You may notice that meaningful conversations happen more easily one-on-one, in small, quiet spaces, away from crowds. That's not accidental. In groups, people perform. Status matters. Agreement protects belonging. When someone introduces complex or uncomfortable ideas in these settings, it can feel like a disruption of the social balance. As a result, depth is often welcomed in private, but resisted in public. Not because people don't care, but because groups reward safety more than insight. This is why thoughtful individuals often feel understood by few, but misunderstood by many. The mental biases that keep depth at a distance. Several patterns of thinking reinforce this divide. People naturally prefer familiar ideas over challenging ones. The mind clings to what feels stable, even when it's incomplete. When beliefs are questioned, the instinct isn't always to reconsider, but to defend. At the same time, those who think deeply often speak with caution and nuance, while those who think shallowly speak with certainty. In social spaces, confidence is often mistaken for wisdom. Depth doesn't shout, it hesitates, and hesitation is rarely rewarded. Why modern culture makes it worse in today's world? Speed matters more than substance. Platforms reward simplicity, emotion, and instant clarity. Thoughtfulness, by nature, resists compression. Deep ideas require patience. They unfold slowly, they leave room for doubt. But doubt doesn't go viral. As a result, those who think carefully may feel invisible in a culture that prioritizes immediacy. It's not that society rejects intelligence outright, it simply doesn't slow down for it. The philosopher's burden. Many philosophers recognize this tension. To think deeply is to notice contradictions others overlook, to question comforts others rely on, to see complexity where others prefer clarity. This doesn't make deep thinkers pessimistic, it makes them honest, but honesty can be isolating. When you see through illusions, it becomes harder to fully participate in them. Small talk feels hollow. Performative optimism feels thin. And yet, these are the currencies of everyday connection. So the thinker stands at a crossroads between understanding and belonging. Is isolation the price of awareness? Not necessarily. Depth doesn't require withdrawal, it requires discernment. There is wisdom in choosing when to speak, and with whom. There is strength in solitude, when it becomes a place of creation rather than resentment. And there is connection to be found in shared ideas, even if those connections are rare. Deep thinking narrows the crowd, but it deepens the bond. Final reflection. The world isn't built for those who question everything. It's built for those who accept enough to function. If you've ever felt alone because your thoughts run deeper than most conversations allow, understand this. You're not disconnected because you're flawed. You're disconnected because you're attentive. And sometimes, seeing clearly means walking briefly alone until you find others who see the same horizon.